everyone and his uncle will tell you that NCERT books are the starting point. So, what do they tell you? They tell you a lot of things: history, polity, economy, geography, and whatnot. But after that, what?
Hello and welcome. To call today a historic day would be an understatement. We are here today to bring to you something that has never happened in the zone of civil services prep. We at Unacademy have truly revolutionized the way students prepare for the civil services exam. It is no longer a dream for the privileged. It's no longer a dream for the haves. And we have ensured that the finest teachers teach the finest students as long as they have a dream. And it is also true that the finest institutions exist right here in the Mecca of civil services preparation. Ladies and gentlemen, students, parents, you asked us that Unacademy is great. We've got the best teachers. But where are, quote unquote, your Delhi teachers? We are so privileged that this is not just Delhi teaching. This is the finest of the finest. Today, we at Unacademy have the single most honor, the highest privilege to have one of India's most prestigious, most sought after, the very benchmark of civil service preparation, Shri Ram IAS, join hands with us at Unacademy to deliver relevant and noteworthy teaching to students preparing for the civil services exam. Shri Ram IAS has graciously partnered with us, is going to host courses with us, and will ensure that students across the length and breadth of this country are able to prepare for this exam in the right way. So allow us and join us in welcoming the entire team of Shri Ram IAS, headed by none other than Shri Ram sir. Before we speak about the civil services preparation, we get the insights of a collective 100 years of teaching experience on the table. We would really like to hear from our very own Shri Ram sir about his vision, his ideas, and what lies ahead.
See, I've been a teacher for the last more than 35 years. I knew I had to teach because a lot of time of the young people, the aspirants at the peak of their youth, highly qualified, had to be put through the right channel. They were going helter skelter, reading this, reading that, reading all sorts of things, wasting their time. And end of 4-5 years, they look back and they have nothing to report. So our job is to ensure every hour, every day, your time is put to productive use exclusively in the direction of making it to the Dholpur house, that is the civil services examination. So whether what to read, how to read, imparting to you knowledge at the basic level, at an advanced level, at a level of application, and what are the boundaries, all these are very, very crucial. Some students already may be familiar with what it takes. They also require to be groomed because every extra mark matters, and everyone is eligible to make it here because nobody joins coaching unless there is a burning desire in him to make it. But it so happens that they are not guided well and therefore they don't make it. We are here pledging to guide you for the next 12 months, 18 months till you make it. And take it from me, Everyone will make it. If you follow what we say, the material we give you, if you read, the tests we conduct, if you attend them, analyze them, remember some, and so on, you are going to make it. That is our promise. So the entire thing that we are coming together with the Unacademy. Why are we coming together? Why can't I do it on my own? Why can't Unacademy do it on its own? Together, we are going to do it. Alone, we might be able to do it. So, we are together because 2 is double of 1. That's about as simple as it gets. So, from now on, you are going to follow us. We're going to dedicate ourselves to your future. And rest assured, we will enable you to enter the portals of the bureaucracy. I wish you all the best.
The pedagogy, the structure, the methodology, the unquestionable quality of Shriram IAS is the very best in the country. Whether you are in college, you've taken a break to prepare for the civil services, you're working, you want to study from the best in the best technological medium possible. And that, in a sense, is why this collaboration was thought of. And with this, I'd like to open the floor, and we want to have an honest conversation, a direct conversation about civil services. Round of discussion. My first theme is, how does one start to prepare for this exam? Because it is a myth, and it is so hyped up. Everything seems to be relevant. But at the end of the day, sir, this is a Sarkari exam. And a Sarkari exam doesn't come without a sense of boundary. So if you had to give a starting point, what would the gentleman on the table recommend?
You see, you've got the energy, you've got intelligence, but this is a complex exam. Let's not, run away from it. You have to begin at a fundamental level. Everyone and his uncle will tell you that NCERT books are the starting point. So what do they tell you? They tell you a lot of things: history, polity, economy, geography, and whatnot. But after that, what? So many brilliant people, even at the interview stage, have to go back home because they don't know how to navigate in terms of the mindset. For example, there is Collegium of the Supreme Court judges, or there is a law made by the parliament restricting the powers of the democratically elected government of the NCR Delhi. There is so many other areas. As it is a Sarkari exam, you're going to be a part of the state, you're going to be the face of India globally and in India itself. You need to know how a leader understands all these developments. And whether it is inflation, or whether it is superconductivity, or whether it is Japanese Prime Minister comes to India, or Chinese President goes to Russia, all of them have to be put into a government perspective. And that's not at all easy, because the perspective for each event is different. And that is why we are here to ensure your energy, your effort, your time, and your hopes, all of them come together into success. That is the only job we do, to help you on a daily basis, and so many times across the next 18 months to make it. Because alone you can sort it out, but it will take you years. And we exist only to handhold your preparation in the right direction. That's the only motive why we are here.
Very, very insightful, sir. In fact, now that we're talking about putting a sense of structure to preparation, we know at the end of the day it's a Sarkari exam. And the two North Stars for any Sarkari exam is your syllabus and PYQs. And in our collective teaching, Prateek sir would have seen this online also a lot, and sir, you would have seen this offline. The two most neglected parts of a child's preparation is the syllabus and the PYQ. It is a mystery handed over to you on a platter by the UPSC to deduce and simplify your prep. So, if my honorable professors on the panel would like to talk about how the syllabus and the PYQ would be integrated in the curriculum that you're delivering, and how would you be structuring it, that would give us a lot more clarity.
In fact, success in the civil service examination is a product of two important variables, that is performance. How do you perform, and how are you motivated to perform? Performance and motivation is important. As the Mathur Sahab has said, when the student come to prepare the exam, what premise he should come with? The premise he should come with is the motivation. He should think for appearing in the civil service examination only when he is determined and motivated to do it. If he is coming halfway, I don't think he will be able to succeed. But once he is motivated and determined, then performance matters. But performance is a product of again 3-4 more variables. And one of the important is the guidance we provide to him. The second important is the reading material we provide to him. And third is what kind of feedback the institution is giving to him. If we can discuss on these issues, and if we can make it more simple delivery to the students and correlate all these variables together and at least convince him, if he can achieve in either of these two or either of all these factors, he can easily succeed.
Prateek sir, you've been teaching lakhs of students online, and the kind of confusion in terms of syllabus and sources is more complex than solving the problem of global warming, I'd say. Sir, what is your take? How do we do this right?
So there are two things. If you'll see, UPSC is giving some kind of hints when it comes to what kind of sources we need to select. So if you'll see the previous year's question paper, first of all, we'll come to a conclusion that the prelims examination is based on certain factual topics from current affairs that the top questions are being asked, contemporary relevance parts as well. There are sources which are very core, that is static areas as well. So if you'll see the overall nature of the examination, we will see that PYQs will be the benchmarking point when it comes to the selection of sources. We need to restrict our sources. We should not go beyond a certain point as well, because we need to minimize the sources, read one book for 10 times rather than reading 10 books for one time. So that is the first part that any aspirant needs to go through this. What happens is that because we are living in an era of information revolution, there are too many sources available on the platter, and then you will find too many choices eventually will spoil the mood as well. And this has been happening with the UPSC aspirants as well. So what I would recommend is that you limit down the sources, you see the PYQs, then you open up the standard reference books. Multiple books are available, current affairs, you are supposed to read newspapers as well. And then you see that if you are able to attempt, or if you are able to link up the topics from the selective books, that will be more than enough to cater the need of the examination. So we are not supposed to do, I would say, research on a particular topic. We are supposed to be a journalist, and eventually this general perspective will come out from the standard sources based on the PYQs and deciphering the syllabus topics as well, sir. And UPSC at times asks question right from the syllabus point as well. Okay, so the keywords which are given in the syllabus, say for example, I teach history. There is this topic called as Industrial Revolution, which is explicitly mentioned in the GS paper 1 syllabus. And UPSC will keep on asking questions based on the dimensions of Industrial Revolution. Why it took place in England, first of all, there was a question. Second time they might ask you what was the model of Industrial Revolution in Japan, that was also asked. They might compare with Germany. Third time they will ask you why India has not still been industrialized, that was also a question. So we need to go by the dimensions rather than we would see doing a factual study as well. And that will be the syllabus and the PYQs that will help us in narrowing down the sources and understanding from the sources as well, sir.
In fact, sir, in my subject in polity and governance also, for example, we often see very heavily debated topics such as the Citizenship Amendment Act. Now, if you read the syllabus of paper 2 carefully, the Citizenship Amendment Act or the topic of citizenship is not mentioned. You would study it in the context of a rights violation. You would study this in the context of an ethical legal conflict. You would study this in the context of the right to freedom of expression. But for the UPSC to ask you your direct opinion on do you think the NRC was right or wrong is something which is very far-fetched. So Rajkumar sir, when you take up IR, you have a far more difficult job to do. So how do we go about this? How do you approach your subject?
Students in the class, whenever I discuss India's relationship with Pakistan, they always have this neck to ask a political question. I'll give you a direct example. Why did India leave those 90,000 troops in 1971, which were prisoners by India? First, it is a historical question. Nobody asks these questions, right? And second point, it is a political question. Nobody in the world can tell you that why did that happen, right? So, you are searching for some information which exactly is not of your use, right? So this is what we need to keep in mind. And of course, it is all about smart preparation, right? If somebody can focus on India, because you said, how do you make IR much more relevant? I think the focus is on India, right? So Russia-Ukraine has been happening since more than 1 year, right? If I start telling the story of Russia-Ukraine, almost every country has a perspective on it. But I think UPSC wants to know what is Indian perspective on this problem, right? So this is the way to approach it, right? We need to narrow down that to India's approach. That is what we need to do, right? And the first thing always will remain what again, Sriram sir said that, syllabus and previous year's question papers. And mind you, UPSC is not only conducting only this exam where they ask questions pertaining to IR. There are many more, exams where they ask IR questions. So you need to catch the trend from there also. You will come to know, okay, then you start making the guesses. Okay, this year I expect this question is going to come, right? So I think this is how we are moving, to and the last point, because that was also very important. Too many sources of study, right? You open, IR there is a YouTube, every guy is having a lot of information. There is Quora, there is every Tom, Dick and Harry speaking on international relations. I think the expertise of what Sriram IAS is giving to you is, how do you put that information into a perspective, right? Everybody knows what is happening between India and Pakistan, but there are certain issues which need to be kept in a perspective. So this is what we are bringing for the students. I think I'll stop here. Thank you.
So brilliantly put, sir. In fact, the philosophy of less is more is the best suited philosophy for international relations. And while IR suffers from an over-information problem, sir, in science and technology, it is the backbone of almost every element of the UPSC syllabus. And science and technology has become a problem, very interestingly, not only for students from the humanities background, but also from the perspective of students who come from an engineering background, because now they're asked opinions on artificial intelligence. Something as simple as artificial intelligence will have an interface in agriculture in the first paper, will have an interference with paper 2 governance and good governance and solving social justice problems. Paper 3 is science and tech, and the amount of ethical conflicts that arise out of issues in science, whether it is cloning or whether it's artificial intelligence or deep internet. So how do you deal with this? Because you are teaching something which students anyways have a phobia with, and then you have to make it simple. And ChatGPT cannot help a UPSC student, because ChatGPT also failed the prelims exam.
That is true, sir. The irony with science and technology is that, see, the engineering students, they think that they studied in school and in college, so they need not study it. But they might have even forgotten what they have studied in school. Even questions on simple difference between plant cell and animal cell is asked in UPSC, but you might have forgotten it. And our students, they think that it is not their cup of tea, so they do not take it seriously. But again, as sir had pointed out, for any UPSC aspirant, there are two Bibles. One is your PYQs and the other is your syllabus. So when you look at the PYQs, you will get the insight into UPSC question makers. So you'll be then able to decipher that what has to be studied and what can be easily left out. So even if I take the example of like the GM mustard is in news. So if GM mustard is in news, so UPSC is not going to just specifically ask a question on GM mustard, but it could ask that it has been 20 years since BT cotton was implemented. So what was the positive impact of that? What was the negative impact of that? So we need to know the picture in a holistic manner and not just a specific news. So that is how we should go about in science and technology.
We have two historians with us on the panel, Shivesh sir and Prateek sir. I'll start with you, Shivesh sir. what is the right way and how do you deliver history? And we can then ask Pratik sir to please give him his inputs.
Look, before coming to the topic, I would like to say 2-3 things that needed for the examination and for the teachers also. That in history, what we approach follow is we need to strengthen our strength first, and then identify the weakness, and then remove the weakness in the second goal. So strengthen the strength, and the second is the refine the weakness and then remove the weakness. This is the second stage. And third thing, what I found that a good teacher or the good coach, it's not important because what exactly deliver very excellent ways, but interesting delivery is very important. And that is how you must mix the stories and the background of the events. That is very much required to understand the facts and figure in a proper manner. So that is the best way to go for the history. Suppose we read Gandhi or his STS model, struggle, truce, struggle model, or the war of position. You must understand that what actually meaning of war of position is, and that how Gandhi evolved as a leader. You can understand that when he came from South Africa, he was not a big leader, even not a peasant leader also. But how beautifully within 3 years of his dimension, and how he transformed the drawing room politics into the road politics to become a leader. So that important dimension you have to cover during the course of his evolving leadership when he came from South Africa. So this is the way normally stories is the best way to put into the history, so that students would find it very interesting. Otherwise, the length of the syllabus always making the things very difficult for the student. But second thing, that you must understand the concept, and then you go for the putting the facts in the proper order. Years will automatically fits inside. So the best approach of reading the history is that you must go the story way to finalize the entire syllabus, and then years will automatically start getting inside because you know the concept. What I finally feel that.
Absolutely, sir. Golden word, strengthen your strengths and refine your weaknesses. Indeed. Pratik sir, please, your 2
Ji
cents.
sir, absolutely very rightly put by Shivesh sir as well. As sir said that we need to focus on the conceptual part first of all. In fact, I personally feel that history is more of a study of a change rather than the study of the events. If you'll see the nature of the questions that UPSC has been asking since last few years, it is always change oriented questions. Say for example, what could have been the outcome of the international movement had it not been the entry of Gandhi, or if Gandhi would have not presided? What could have been the course of the independence? Okay. So these are the opinionated questions, okay. Or UPSC might ask you differences between the strategy adopted by Subhash Chandra Bose and Gandhi. Were they different or they were eventually the same only? So this is what the UPSC has been asking. What I personally feel that history is not supposed to be read in isolation. You are supposed to interlink the topics. So for example, there are certain world events would have impacted the international movement. Simultaneously, UPSC has been asking questions even with respect to the cultural part and the ancient part implemented in the modern period. So few years back, there was a question that was asked how the town planning of the Harappan cities can be useful in designing of the smart cities in the present era. So if you see the nature of the designing of the Harappan cities, they've got a town planning system, water management system, grid layout system, everything that we can see, compact cities so that less movement of people, and you can know sustainable is one of the aspect as well. Thirdly, history also requires the cultural part, because art and culture is also part of the main thing. In fact, I feel that the culture is also related to the political history. If the king is politically and economically very sustainable and powerful, he'll be making and designing monuments according to the ideological beliefs he had, and he'll be putting out the resources for the development. So say white marble will be used by a particular dynasty in the 17th century, but the same white marble will not be used in the 18th and the 19th century because of the nature of the states that has changed. So they are facing some kind of economic problems, and hence they will see the change in the architecture as well. So this is how UPSC has been asking questions in history and culture. How philosophy have played a very important role in shaping of the monuments. Yeah. So the Buddha's teaching are reflected in the stupas or the cave architecture. Why the cave are in the form of anda shape, okay, apsidal shape. So this is what the nature of the question. So interlinking is very much needed. Conceptual clarity, focusing, as Shivesh sir said, that you need to strengthen your strength and then refine your weaknesses, sir. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. In fact, someone very close to me was having a conversation with, and very, very interestingly, the person also said that you cannot remember every policy of every viceroy. But if you know the personality of the viceroy, you would know whether the viceroy was a good person or a bad person. So you can associate those kind of policies and then, make your educated guesses. That's a brilliant way to go about it. We are in the era of absolute mayhem when it comes to answer writing. And there is so much gyan, as if there is a chemical X that the students have to take every day in the form of a chavanprash in the morning, and then they will become great writers of answers. Sir, is it that complex? Is that the case?
It's not at all complex, but you need to know how to write an answer. A lot of people know it. But generally, the example that you gave some time back, Citizenship Amendment Act. The way they would write something on CAA would be, criticize the government and, all sorts of, anarchical reasoning they'll bring in. Should the question come, they must realize that no names are to be mentioned. People say, Mrs. Indira Gandhi imposed emergency. How are you concerned about Mrs. Indira Gandhi? You are concerned about in 1975, June, and 352, national emergency got imposed. Congress government, Modi, this is not said at all. You're going to be leaders. You have to be above the political picture. So, writing answer is definitely, you need to do so under able guidance. Otherwise, UPSC is ruthless about marking, be it in the main, be it in the interview, a wrong word, a wrong fact, a politically contestable, presentation. All of them can be, you could be slaughtered for that. Therefore, a lot of people who are, believe me, brilliant people, outright brilliant people, energetic people, why is it that they don't make it? I have known the other day, somebody showed me, sir, these are the answers I have written, and I have not pointed out any fault in what I have written. But I have not been getting good marks. I saw in the second paragraph itself, Mrs. Gandhi imposed national emergency. You can't get too far with that. And when I told him, stay out of all this, stick to a decent perspective, factual, interpretative in a constructive manner, don't get into controversies unnecessarily. Today he is there as an officer. So you see, you need to be guided, and guided by someone who would love to guide you in the right direction. Yeah, and ability to guide, intention to guide, they're pretty crucial to guidance.
Absolutely, sir. In fact, it's commonly understood that your UPSC preparation is the trailer into your career as a bureaucrat. If you're handling 15-20 departments when you're working, you might as well be sufficiently able to handle 15-20 subjects, prioritizing subject A over B depending on the return that you would get in terms of marks. And the order of subjects also becomes extremely important in a certain manner. The order also becomes very, very crucial. You can't study an IR as effectively if you've not had a background in, say, world history. We can't teach governance and social issues as effectively as we could if a student does not have a working knowledge of polity and economy. And when that amalgamates into a simple, effective, answer the damn question answer writing format, I think that's the simplest way to put it. But the best answer is answer what has been asked. And I think, sir, that is how you've structured your curriculum, because I know that you've always taught and your subjects have always been in a very, very academically sound manner.
So, the whole thing is, you know what to write, but you've been misled by newspapers and all sorts of people. So, go back to the time you were taking your 10th class examination. 12th class examination, you'll get everything right, except that the nature of the exam is that you have to depoliticize your understanding, and you need to sanitize your thinking, and rest of the talent you have. Otherwise, you won't be preparing for civil services so seriously, joining a coaching center, coming to the class every day, taking down notes, asking the right question. Sir was saying right question. Right question is everything. There is no question other than the right question. Because in a span of 12 months, if you want to crack it, you better be getting only right questions, right doubts. Otherwise, some people are tempted. They believe that you need to be great intellectuals. You need to be highly, highly critical of all that's going on. All that you're being misled. 10th class, 12th class, constructive thinking, balanced thinking, avoiding controversial points of view. Controversy doesn't mean conviction. You have to say casteism has to be uprooted. That is a conviction. There is no controversy there. But UPSC is also very sure of giving you questions where the subjectivity of the examiner can ruin your career. For example, they won't ever ask you about reservation of this group, that group. They won't ask you about reservation is a right or otherwise. They won't ask you about the EWS. They won't ask you. It's a highly polarized debate. And UPSC knows that you should not be sacrificed at the altar of the bias of the examiner. So, some ground rules are there, and if you follow them, you'll surprise yourself. You'll go much, much, farther than you ever dreamt of.
For all the learners who are eagerly waiting, and this is a very important moment for us because Sriram sir, along with his whole gamut of, I would say, shining educators and very experienced teachers, they will be taking classes on the Unacademy platform. Yes, you are hearing right. We are launching 3 batches. The first batch is the 1-year foundation course batch. This will include the prelims, the mains, everything under one roof. This will include the essay. This course duration will be for 1 year, and this will cover everything. This will be taken exclusively by the Sriram sir and the educators who are with us, the team of the Sriram IAS as well. The fantastic part of this whole thing is because we are launching it for the first time, there's some considerable amount of discount also available. You will be getting it, the details and the link available as well. Along with that, this is for the next year who are appearing for the next year. But those students who are appearing for this year's prelims examination, for important thing is this 1-year batch will be launched on the 10th of April. Other than this, those students who are appearing for the prelims examination and who are kind of dicey about how to appear and what to do and what not to do, and they are very much confused, we are launching a 60 hours most probable topic batch for the prelims. This will be taken by the Sriram IAS team as well. This will also include a test series as well, and you will also get an early bird discount as well. Okay, so definitely if you're already prepared up and you just want to have that cherry on the cake, I would say, you can join this batch. 60 hours, you will get everything, most probable topics, including the test series as well. Other than this, current affairs plays a very important role in the UPSC prelims examinations. In fact, since the last 3-4 years, almost 50% of the weightage of the question paper is based on the current league topics. And for that thing also, those students who want to, I would say, refine and sharpen their edges with respect to current affairs, we have got one more batch. This is exclusively for current affairs. It will be 40 hours batch where we will be covering, the Sriram sir's team and Sriram IAS team will be covering the last 1.5 years of current affairs. Most probably this will be sufficient with respect to the UPSC examination, and this is also available at discounted, I would say, fees as well. So what are you waiting for, students? You're most welcome, and you should take the maximum, I would say, advantage of this team that is available for you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So we've got a foundation batch, we've got a comprehensive crash course for prelims, and we've got a dedicated current affairs course, because that is of course a major pain point. All of these are available at a discounted sort of price as an early bird setup. Of course, the prices are going to go up eventually, and we're very grateful to sir and the team to bring up such of these courses for us. And sir, finally, thank you so much for taking out the time. Thank you so much for being with us, and we hope for a very long and a very mutually rewarding partnership. And welcome to Unacademy, sir.
Thank you so much. We'll put everything into our teaching program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.